Get ready. Today, we're reviewing Star Wars Obi Wan. Let's go ahead and get started. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to another episode of Elevated. I'm your host, the Elevated Engineer. So, we're doing a recap today. You know we got to do our usual. We got to do our sound check as usual because, of course, YouTube act like they don't want my shit to be out there. All right. So, trying a couple of new things today. I hope you guys are kind of starting to enjoy it a little bit. I got the soundtrack in the background. Salute to that. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it, man. You know, it's our weekly recap of Star Wars. We are on the third episode. And I must say, it's been some interesting revelations that's come from this third episode. Will Obi Wan be able to save Leia? Probably. But let's go ahead and get into it really quick. So this episode starts out, man, pretty much where the second episode left off. Of course, we had a big twist. Okay, our girl, I forget what is her actual name? Her name is like Moses something, but I think she's like the third sister or the fifth sister or something like that. The lady on the left, if you're seeing the screen right now, but she's playing one of the Inquisitors, and her name is Reva. So, from the twist from last episode was like, she's ambitious, she's coming for the crown, and she has some beef apparently with Obi Wan Kenobi. Another big thing that kind of comes along is you get to see that not only in our last episode, it was revealed that up until that point, Obi-Wan didn't know anything about Darth Vader, and he didn't even know that Darth Vader is Anakin or was Anakin or whatever. Honestly, they're not really that clear yet on the actual, if you think about it, they're not clear on the actual relationship between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader / Anakin, because at this point Obi-Wan is pretty much just kind of just coasting and Tatooine and pretty much he just got the call to rescue Leia at this point. So as he's rescuing her, he runs into Inquisitor Reva. I think her name is third sister too, but we just gonna call her Reva. Reva actually takes a little more center stage in this episode, which I appreciated because I think she has potential, man. I think I seen online that she was getting a lot of hate, and I don't think it's warranted, but you gotta come to realize at this point, they're just gonna have, Star Wars is gonna have their fans. A lot of it gets into the insecurity of the pale males, but whatever. Just let her do her thing. I think she makes some crazy twists. I think she's a good addition as a villain, and I don't think Star Wars has ever had a black female with. That's on the hillside, the bad villainous side. So I think it's interesting to see her coming for that. She plays the role pretty good. She actually, there's a betrayal that happened in the previous episode, and now we're taking off. Apparently, Reva reports directly to the Dark Lord himself. Darth Vader. And Darth Vader, he makes an appearance. I mean, we already knew he would, but it was really refreshing to see that, you know. I mean, obviously they're kind of building it up. They're not like just having him just drop in and it's just like, oh, it's Anakin. No, they're actually building it up, which I think is pretty cool because you get to see the relationship. They don't delve too deep into the relationship. I think they're only gonna have one season. It would be pretty cool if they had two, but they don't delve that deep into the relationship between Reva, the other Inquisitors, and Darth Vader. But all we really know for right now is that they serve him. So with that being said, you get to see the dynamic actually between the Inquisitors, which I think is something that we didn't consider before. We always just assume, at least I could say that I only assumed that each Inquisitor was, you know, just some loyal, you know, Sith or whatever to the Emperor. But it turns out that they're actually, you know, there's some tension. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. I mean, they are Sith. Of course, it's gonna have some tension, but you can see that there's some tension between Reva. Reva's not necessarily the team player, and her and the other guy, fifth brother, who is played by the actor Sung Kang. Am I saying his name Kang or Kang? But Kang, Sung Kang, whatever. He played Han for Fast and Furious. They are having some issues, and because the events that happened in the last episode, get to see that they're basically competing for the number one spot. Darth Vader's number one spot. That is a dynamic again that we never even considered, because remember, Darth Vader hasn't had any Padawan. The only, I say Padawan, we're talking about Sith versus Jedi. But Darth Vader, aka Anakin's only Padawan, was Ahsoka. And after that, you know, he became Darth Vader. So I guess these Inquisitors are the closest thing that Vader has to a Padawan. And they are, I guess they're Sith's apprentice. I mean, does that violate the rules? I wonder. Anyways, so they're going about, and Obi Wan actually gets to the point where he rescues Leia, and he's on the run now. But one of the key things that happens is they come back to, I think it's Tatooine, but it is a desert planet. I'm pretty sure it's Tatooine. Everything takes place on Tatooine, of course. But you get to see the relationship between Obi Wan and who, you know, the little girl will eventually become Leia, and that is a dynamic that's, you know, you get to see that Leia definitely has her fingers in the Force, but she's certainly not a Jedi. Although, really, and that's something that's really thinking about. Like, why didn't Obi-Wan train Leia as a Jedi? I mean, she's obviously Force sensitive. She pretty much shows that she has the ability to read people and all that good stuff. But it makes you wonder why. I hope they explain why he didn't choose to train. I'm sure they will. But I hope they explain why he didn't choose to train Leia as a Jedi, because it seems like that would have made more sense, right? Like, it seems like that him as a Jedi would have been, or I'm sorry, Leia as a Jedi. Well, then again, I can say that he probably didn't want to train Leia as a Jedi because that would make her more. It would be easier to find her, probably. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. Because, of course, they're hunting down Jedis at this point. So I guess making her a Jedi would probably make her put like a bullseye on her back or something. Because it's easy to find. So I think that's I think they're probably going to get more into that. Like, I hope that because towards the end of her life, Leia was showing some force sensitivity, and she did that little weird thing where she basically used the force and pulled herself into the ship. Like when she was in space and pulled her ship got destroyed, she pulled herself, whatever, in the last episode. I think this is the halfway point through the series, because I believe the series is only gonna series or season. I'm not sure if this is gonna have more than one season, but I'm pretty sure this is the halfway point through the season. And I like it because it's a good. The gap between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, there's so much stuff in there, but you kind of get to see that that Obi Wan isn't necessarily like he's kind of a pathetic character. Honestly, like at this point, he's kind of a pathetic character because he's like, he's very reluctant, and you really, I like how they kind of set the scene, like that is kind of somber, that you see him in the desert, and the desert is barren. You get to see that he's just not Obi Wan that we know. Like he's very more or less like not in a good place, but he's also like reluctantly, achieving his mission essentially. So I think that's a good thing that we get to see. You also shows that it's good for them to also show the relationship between Leia and Obi-Wan / Ben. But there's really, the good thing is like they give you the sense that there's no real place that's safe for them. Right? And as they're escaping, they're pretty much they're getting to the point where the Inquisitors it's not only the Inquisitors, but the Empire is pretty much on them, and it's getting to the point where it's like they can't go anywhere without being recognized. The good thing is there are some allies, and I want to show them really quick because of course we have I believe her name is Talia. Let me look it up because I know I'll be forgetting. I believe her name is Talia or Tia or something to that extent. Anyway, she's a new basic unit. Okay, her name is Tia. Okay. Her name is Tia, and her name is the actress Indira Varma. She's basically an undercover. She's an agent for the what will become the rebels, but she actually presents herself in an interesting way. Again, I'm not going to reveal what actually happens, but she reveals herself in a way that you don't even really see it coming. I thought that was a good twist because I certainly wasn't expecting it. But, the fact that she's an inside agent and the fact that they're always on the run. So from the episode 1, they've always been on the run. And that's what the sense that you're getting of this show is, that there's no place that's really safe. So again, they get stranded on this planet, and then they reach out for help, and they're pretty much running around the whole time. They finally encounter some Imperial troops, and this is a part where I actually got really like nerded out, because I really enjoyed the fact that you get to see the incompetence of the stormtroopers, and the difference between the stormtroopers and the clone troopers. And I believe that in this, okay, so there's a particular situation that happens, right? And they get caught up, basically. And you get to just witness the ineptitude. And that was one thing that I really loved about Rebels, I think it was, where they're just talking about, you know, the stuff you don't think about the Empire is like the cuts, like the budget cuts, like we can't afford to have this massive, highly trained, highly efficient clone army, but what we can do is cut costs, make it a volunteer military, the Empire, and only these guys are not the best of the best. the stormtroopers are not the best of the best, man. They're the best of what we got right now. So I love how it's like you really get to see that the difference between the clones and the stormtroopers, man, it's pretty sad, honestly. Like, so they get caught up, right? And you know, Obi Wan essentially, okay, so he's with Leia, and they get caught up on this planet, and essentially they reach out to some guy who may or may not help them, but he seems like, you know, he's some alien motherfucker that'll reach out, right? So he reaches out to them. He reaches out for help, and you know, the guy, some monster helps him. But of course, this guy is a supporter of the Empire. So, you know, but he offers them a ride anyway. So they take the ride, and of course, as soon as they get on there, he pulls over, and he pulls over some stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers, because this guy is a allied, the stormtroopers get on there, and he's just like, oh, you know. But because the stormtroopers are so incompetent, they don't recognize that he's a Jedi at all. So they're basically talking to him, and they give him a spiel. So they get off, but then they drive a little more down, and then they encounter some more stormtroopers. And they encounter a security checkpoint, and the guys, you know, they get ratted out, and a bunch of stormtroopers get on the trucks. So they're just like, oh shit, like, oh shit, you know. So they more or less figure out a way to just lie to him, but then it gets caught up, and then they, you know, of course they had to fight him. But you just get to see how dumb they are, and just how much of a step down that they were from the clones, man. If these were clones, oh my god, if these were clones that would have been on this vehicle in this situation, they would have recognized them immediately. It's funny that they just keep showing the transitionary phase that the Empire is in. Just like, yo. So yeah, when this episode ends, they find themselves with a new ally. The Inquisitors are hot on their trails, and it's pretty much they're on the run, and that's on the run. Anything could happen, and of course, Vader is on his way. So now that we know that Vader is on his way, shit's about to get real. So that's pretty much the plot. moving on into the philosophy. Oh no, not the philosophy yet. We're not at the philosophy yet. We are at the reviews of what I liked and what I didn't like about this episode. So, what I liked. Well, I mean, you know, you're always gonna like, you know, the action, a little more expose on the cast and crew. You're always gonna like, you know, exploring Tatooine. As always, we're gonna explore Tatooine. I really also like that, you know, you get to see characters. Obviously, you're gonna see Luke and Leia, and you're gonna see them different, but they're little kids. But I like to see between Obi Wan, who's pretty much at his lowest point. I think this is the lowest point that Obi Wan has ever been, as we've seen him. Even I think this is even a lower point, even when he becomes a Force ghost. So you can say he died or he didn't die, whatever. But I like that they're showing Obi-Wan at a low point where he's not the, you know, the dopest Jedi. In fact, it's actually, you know, working against him to be a Jedi. But I like that you get to see that Darth Vader actually, you know, this wasn't just a thing where it's just like, all right, you know, we went from episode 3 to episode 4 and now it's the Rebels. Like, nah, it's a lot of stuff that happened, and you get to see, you know, that Darth Vader really was he was obsessed with Obi-Wan. And that's something that's really cool, because you get to see these two interact finally. You get to see them interact finally and fight. You get to see that battle we've been waiting on, but it's not what you think, because I gotta be honest, when I saw it, I didn't see Obi-Wan who's, you know, reluctantly fighting again. I saw an Obi-Wan who was afraid of. I don't think Obi-Wan is afraid of Darth Vader per se. I think that Obi-Wan is afraid of confronting his past, that is Anakin, which essentially is a failure. I think that Obi-Wan is afraid of confronting his past and his failed Padawan, that is Anakin, his failed he has fallen from allowing his Padawan, aka his student, really, for crossing over to the dark side, and his failure for losing the war, essentially. You know, so they do have a fight, but when you see it, you'll be like, oh shit, I know. Like Obi-Wan, he runs from him because he's afraid of him. He's afraid of Vader. And Vader chases them down. They end up, you know, escaping. But, you know, I love that they show that, like, Obi-Wan is afraid. He's afraid to confront his past. He can't be afraid of Vader. Or he might be afraid of Vader to an extent. But I think he's more afraid of the mistakes. And I think that's what they're definitely going into. What I didn't like was, you know, obviously the pacing was a little off, you know. You know what's something I don't like? Like, I don't like, maybe they're doing it on purpose, but I don't like the lack of lightsaber battles, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, Obi-Wan is still young enough to be having some prequel level lightsaber battles, and I feel like that's like something that we should be having by now, because at this point Obi-Wan he's still not old yet. I mean, he's older, but he's not Obi-Wan either from the Rebel series, and he's definitely not Obi-Wan from episode 4. So I really wish that the action was like more like a little more intensive, like a little more like, you kind of, I feel like there's like one action scene, and it's, so I really wish they would have a little more like emphasis on some of the Jedi martial arts, because remember, like, this is the first Jedi-centric story that we've had in a while. Now that I think about it, of all the Disney series, have we had any Jedi stories? I don't think we have. You know what I'm saying? Like, have we had? Because we had The Mandalorian, we had the Book of Boba Fett. I think those have been the only like Disney series so far. So this is gonna be the first Jedi-centric story, I believe. So you just like, man, I can't lie. Have I taken the prequels for granted? Yes. Haven't we all? I mean, think about it. There's been 9 Star Wars movies. You had the prequels, episode. Okay, so you had the originals, then you had the prequels, which the originals was episode 3 through 6. Originals, the prequels was 1 through 3, and then you had the, I don't know what you call them, but the Disney Star Wars, which was 7 through 9, right? And the Disney Star Wars have been mediocre at best. And that's one thing too I noticed about the Disney Star Wars is their lightsaber battles like are okay. They're not. It's not like I think the prequels had the best lightsaber battles, and I just don't understand why we can't get back to that type of action. Flying lightsabers flying everywhere, flips and stuff. Like, I mean, I understand they're kind of saying like, Obi Wan's not as young as he used to be, but I feel like he could still like, even still, like, you can say the Inquisitor should probably be able to have a lot more cooler battles, but we really actually haven't seen, other than Vader versus Obi Wan, which was very short. I think we haven't really seen any lightsaber battles yet. We've seen people use a lightsaber, but we haven't, whatever. But either way, so moving on from what I liked and what I didn't like, which is my favorite part because mostly I get to rant. But it's my philosophy of the actual show. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, family, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Eventually I'm gonna put up some graphics when I want y'all to like, share, subscribe. But drop a comment. Let me know if you really digging my reviews in this format. Today you can see I'm not on camera. I'll be on camera next time. Maybe if my hair like it was supposed to look like. But I just came from the gym, so I'm not really where I'm supposed to be right now, looks wise, so we ain't gonna be on that. But let's get into the philosophy, man. The philosophy I wanted to focus on for this particular episode was about losing yourself and getting off course and getting back on it. So I wanted to talk about losing yourself in particular. Now, with this series, Obi Wan, the main character, or the title character, Obi Wan, loses himself. He falls off his path dramatically. He goes into, he essentially becomes a monk. Essentially he lives in a cave and just like, has the very bare minimum of the necessities of what he needs, and he's just hiding out, man. Goes to town whenever he needs something, and other than that, just hides out. That is a hell of a lifestyle, man. That's monk mode to the nth degree. So it's a way. That's definitely an outlook on life that I think most people aren't ready for. And when you have that drive, I mean, Obi Wan is a Jedi. I mean, so he's a very definition of motivated, focused, not really having too many outside influences and distractions. But even when you have that level of dedication and focus, something drastic like the fall of the of the Jedi Council and the Republic may just throw you off your path. And I believe that Obi-Wan, like the rest of us, is still human. So even though the fact that you can get off your path, I think that you're gonna have to find reasons and really sometimes people to get you back on that path. That's what they're trying to show with this episode and this series. They're trying to show that even when you get off that path, you gotta muster it up and you gotta get back on it. And many times in that journey, you're going to find people who are going to get you off that path. You're going to find people that don't believe in you. You're going to find people that still kind of believe in you, but they see where you at and they're like, yeah, you know, is this guy, you know, who he says, who I've heard he is, or is this guy just some old man who used to be Obi-Wan and ain't what he used to be. And I think that's what we all gonna have to encounter, especially being black. It is so easy to get off your path that getting back on it might be the hardest part of your journey. It has to be. If you think about it, Obi-Wan and the Jedi's goal and mission is essentially the light side. I mean, and the light side pretty much kind of says what it is. It's an entire way of thinking where you're actually putting others before you. You're fighting against evil, and all this stuff. But I think that the Jedi, not only Obi-Wan, but the Jedi obviously are off their path because most of them got wiped out. But I'm talking about even before that, I believe that they were off their path. I believe that they were off their path because they got arrogant. I believe I mentioned this in a previous episode. They got arrogant, and they got to the point where, I'm not gonna say they thought they was untouchable, but they thought that they didn't think that they would be blindsided. And sometimes when you don't think that you could get blindsided, and then you do get blindsided, it throws you off your game so much that you never truly recover. And that's the problem. Your path is got to be set, but if you get off, you got to find some way to get back on. And I think for Obi-Wan, it was essentially Leia. Leia is how he pretty much got off his path, because if you remember from the first or the second episode, Organa, what is his name? The guy who's Leia's pops. What is his name? I know his name is Organa, but what is his actual name? Yeah. He old school. Bail Organa. Jimmy Smith. You know, he been that's Law and Order since forever. But he says, like, do you care more about, him than her, him being, Luke or whatever. And he has, because for the last 10 years, that's pretty much all he's cared about is Luke. So he's like, he tells him like, man, look, I got too much shit to do already. You know what I mean? So I can't do both. And Senator Organa's like, yo, you're literally the only one who can do it. I think that's very important. I think that, I forgot about this. Go ahead and share this for me, engineering fam. I you know what, me slipping, and not sharing it. That is my fault 100%. Right? Let's turn that off. Hold on, give me a second, fam. Let me just share this really quick. But yeah, so when he finds Leia, it's like, he finds a reason essentially to get off his ass essentially, because when people are, you're down and out, you're like, fuck this. You know what I mean? You don't really know that, like, what the next, because if you think about it, with the Jedi Council gone, with the Republic being absorbed into the Empire, I mean, what's the next step? Like, what's the next step for Obi Wan, especially when you have no real guidance. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's interesting, to see that you can come and get off your square so heavy that, you don't even really know what actually the answer is. Because how can you possibly come back from the devastation that is that? And I think that could be applied to anything, to be honest. That could be applied to business. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like, because hold on, family. I'm engineering fam. Give me a second. I'm trying to do like 3 different things at once, while also trying to keep my my train of thought straight, and while also trying to type at the same time. And waiting on these, a lot of this stuff it takes a lot of computing power unnecessarily. I don't want to get too into it. Okay, let's not get distracted, because I know if I'm gonna get distracted, I know I'm gonna get off course. So back to what I was saying. So you got to the point where you're easily able to get off your course, and there's so many people trying to bring you off your course. Obi Wan is the best of the best. Even though the Jedi, he was the best. So it can happen to anybody. Like, literally can happen to anybody. Why is my battery about to die? Oh well, whatever. I got another 10 minutes. I don't really need it anymore. So the scary thing about the Jedi and what happened to them is that the Jedi were the power in the galaxy, whether they like it or not. And whether they like it or not, people feared the Jedi. Right? People fear the Jedi. And people love the Jedi too, but people definitely feared the Jedi. So it can be, it can be devastating. I've seen it happen so many times where I know motherfuckers are some of the most talented, hardworking, people out there, but it's, you still can get off your square, and someone can throw you off your square. So the key to it is to find a way, find something that is going to keep you on that path. I'm sorry, engineering fail. I'm just gonna do this one little post really quick. Episode or season, 1 episode 3. Okay, I got it, engineering fam, finally. I got it. Okay. So yeah, getting off your square, man. I love this series. Well, one, because obviously I'm a nerd, Star Wars and everything. But I love this series, but I like this episode because there's so many layers that I think that they added that was necessary for us as the audience. Because as us as the audience, we really only know, the story thus far. But as us in the audience, we really kind of could put ourselves into this story. It was like, yo, what would you do if you were Obi Wan? You know what I mean? Like, what would you do if, you're being hunted, but you got to save this girl because she's very important. You don't know how important she is, but you know she is going to be important. And, it's just you. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's on the hunt. What would you do? I mean, if Darth Vader was if Darth Vader was chasing your ass down, what would you do? Would you? I'm like, you know what I mean? Jedi. What's that? I don't know anything about that. Jedi, nah, man. You know what I'm saying? I just wash the dishes in here. I don't know. But I think that's very important because as powerful as the Jedi are, they can be taken down. They can be insecure. They can have doubts. That's so. Oh my God, I forgot about that. It was something that was very, very. It really kind of explained the Jedi in like one answer. Leia asks Obi Wan, like, what's it like to use the Force? Because she's a little kid, so she's like, yo, what's it like to use the Force? Like, how's that even feel? Best answer I think I've heard for Star Wars, for any of the philosophical type stuff. He was like, yo, are you afraid of the dark? And she's like, yeah. He's like, well, how do you feel when you turn on the lights and you're afraid of the dark? And the little girl, Leia, was like, I feel, I think she either said safe or home or something like that. She was like either safe or home. And he was like, well, that's what the Force feels like for me, for Jedi. And he was just like, damn, like, yo, like, I mean, that makes sense. Like, to them, the Force is like a part of them. But it's like, it's more than that. Like, it's more than just telepathy, telekinetic type stuff, or Force jump, Force push. All that stuff that comes with the Force. It's like more than that. It's also like, it's who they are, and it makes a Jedi, probably, if you ever got a chance to ask the Sith, it probably makes them feel the exact same way. like, it's safe, it's home. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's how I feel knowing, like, my fighting background. Okay, like, I've been fighting a lot since I was, before I can remember. I've been throwing hands, right? But it's only when I really started focusing that and really started getting into the martial arts and really started getting into competition that I'm really like, I've always had some confidence that I could fight, but my confidence was never like, yeah, I know I could win, or I know I could hurt this person, right? Like, if I really wanted to. Or, and it makes me feel safe. It makes me feel like, in these types of situations, I know what to do. Same thing with the Force. Like, when you're using the Force, I mean, there's a point in the series where he saves Leia's life. He stops her from falling, and that's just something that's a part of him. Like, that's always going to be something that he can kind of go to, you know what I mean? He could fall back on. Like, you could fall back on that skill set that you've been honing and working on for however long, maybe your whole life, maybe years, whatever. But you could focus on that skill, you could fall back on that skill, and you'll never be essentially unsafe. You know what I'm saying? That's essential. Not only my martial arts skills, but also my engineering. Like, I'll never be unsafe. I'll never be, and by unsafe, I mean I'll never not be able to find a job. You know what I'm saying? As long as I got my skills set, as long as I work on them, I'll never be able to find a job. I'll never not be able to eat off my skill set. That's something that takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of time. Not everyone's going to be able to do that. A lot of us are just comfortable living paycheck to paycheck and just getting by. Well, in order to not only survive but thrive, you can't just get by. You need to be able to be the best there is at what you do. You know, even if you're out of practice, you got to be able to get back to where you was, to where you are the most efficient person doing what you do. You know, that's how people fall off and don't recover, because they fall off thinking that they are only capable of doing the thing that they were doing based on talent alone, hard work, and yeah, that stuff comes back with it. But what happens when you fall off? And everybody falls off. Michael Jackson fell off. Mike Tyson fell off. Okay, it's arguable if Floyd ever fell off, Floyd Mayweather, but even still, Floyd ain't who he was 15 years ago. So everybody falls off. You know what I mean? Old niggas fall off. You know? But are you still that same dude? You know what I'm saying? Is this your lane? You know what I mean? Still, everybody falls off. How do you recover? And that's it for this for what I think about what really this review for this episode. I think that that's the moral of this story. Can you fall off, get back on, and do the best job you can do? So yeah, let's go ahead. All right, everybody. I definitely appreciate. Drop a like, share, subscribe, and also check out Star Wars Obi Wan yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I appreciate all interactions, etc., etc. This episode is less than an hour, but I don't have anything else to say, man. Go watch the show. Enjoy it. Peace.